Welcome, everybody, to the U16 pod. I'm Ryan MacArthur.
And I'm Connor Williams. And on the last episode of the U16 pod, we covered the Alliance, Minor Hockey Alliance of Ontario. We had three phenomenal interviews with three outstanding players. We had talked to forward Lucas Carmiras from the Brantford 99ers U16 AAA program. We talked to Brody McConnell-Barker, defenseman with the London Junior Knights, and goaltender Connor Davis from the Windsor Junior Spitfires. Phenomenal episode. Again, really appreciate those players coming on, and we got another great episode today planned for everyone. This week we're covering the ETA, Eastern AAA of the OMHA there. Big season. The ETA's had a really successful year so far as you look at it from the grand as a whole. You look at it tournament wise as well as just the season itself. They're really tight out there. Obviously, we know Quinny, as we'll get into in a second. Quinny's kind of separated themselves. They've still yet to lose a game in their ETA season, regular season. They've kind of separated themselves, but the ETA's had successful. I mean, we saw Quinny take the Wendy Dufton Memorial Tournament earlier this year. Saw Ajax and Quinny really make a run in the Whitby Tournament, put up that outstanding quarterfinal game that went to, gosh, I think it was 8 overtimes if I'm remembering, but it's been a while since then.
It was.
Just that wild game, and those two are at the top, are kind of higher up in the standings as is right now. So as we get going to preview the second half of the season, Ryan, it all starts at the top there with the Quinny Red Devils.
Yeah, Quinty is an unbelievable team. I mean, 18-0-3 in the league. They won the London tournament to start the year. A lot of big teams were at that London tournament. The top teams from the G were at that Markham tournament, but Quinty took out a lot of teams to win that London tournament. And I mean, a lot of it for them starts with the goaltending. They've got two unbelievable goalies. Michael McIver, Mike, we had on the an earlier episode of the season.
Silver Stick episode, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, check that out if you want to see the interview with Mike. But yeah, Mike and Glenn McInnes, like just two unbelievable goalies, really. Quinty doesn't get scored on very much, and it's pretty much they've got good D, but their last line of defense at goaltending is extremely strong.
No, absolutely, and that's so well said. And I think it was during one of the Silver Stick games watching them, and it's kind of that thing where you see with teams that have that strong goaltending, whether it be one goaltender's in or the other goaltender, it instills that confidence in the team, but it also plays a role, I think, with the other team as well in their mindset where they know, hey, if we give up this many goals, X amount of goals, or hey, if we get 2 goals scored on us or 3, we're really in trouble here because those goaltenders aren't going to give up much. And if they're having a great game, well, they might not give up any at all with the strong goaltending they have. And it's like you've mentioned to me a lot with this Quinny team. It just progressively gets better as you get out from the net and you move into the defense core. I mean, it starts off with I think their top 2 defensemen, and I believe they play their top pairing together. Braden Rogers and Ben Danford there, who've got to be top projections, top prospects for this coming draft as defensemen. I mean, Ben Danford, the fluidness he plays with, the way he skates, the calmness he plays with, the reliability, that he plays with is just remarkable. And you got Braden Rogers, who's got that offensive capability, that smoothness in his stride, his ability to quarterback offensively and really contribute offensively with that Quinny team out there, eh?
Yeah. Rogers is on fire offensively. He's been lighting it up. Ever since the London tournament start of the year, he's been putting up points, scoring lots of goals, and yeah, like him and Ben Danford are the top 2D on their top power play, right? And Danford he's pretty much does it all. Like he's big, he can do end-to-end rushes, physical. And I know a lot of people really like Ben Danford. Like he's really high on some draft boards that we've seen, and really, really highly rated, and for good reason. Those two are unbelievable defense, like probably the best defensive pair in all of U16 AAA hockey. And like their D, like it doesn't stop there. Like Reed G, we posted a hit that he had on our Instagram. He's probably the best hitter in U16 AAA hockey. Like if not, he's close. Every game I go see him, he's absolutely just smoking guys and making people pay just for touching the puck. I love it. He's a beast out there. And Carson Campbell's another one. I mean, really, really smooth. Like their whole decor is strong, right?
Oh, absolutely. And Carson Campbell's a player who really, I think, has kind of come up and up, and his stock's kind of risen as the years progress. And watching when I got to see him at the Silver Stick there, he was a phenomenal defenseman with the way he plays the game and just the calmness that he plays with and the smoothness. He's able to open up lanes. I know. I saw we're gonna get these videos up shortly from one of the Coburg games. We got one Coburg game up on the Insta. But we're gonna get some of these other Coburg from the second one from the other Coburg game that happened. He played in it, and he had a beautiful wrister from the point. And sniped one, got it through traffic and put one past the goaltender there. And so it really just highlights the depth that they have. I mean, you have two solid defense pairings who both can really just take over games and kind of be reliable, can contribute offensively, but be reliable defensively as well. So it's really exciting to have for Quinny to have that type of defense there. And as we talk about the defense, it then progresses into their forward group, I think, Ryan. And I think it starts with center Ethan Toms there. We've had on the podcast. He had in the first episode of the season after his phenomenal performance at the Wendy Duffin tournament. I mean, with his calmness, his two-way playing, his two-way ability, his passing ability. I mean, his hands are just unreal. Watching him make these saucer passes, finding his teammates, it's just unbelievable. And I'm pretty knowing minor hockey, they've missed out on tons of points, and they probably missed out on several points for him as well. But he's had an unreal season so far for Quinny there, with the Quinny team at the center position there.
Yeah, Ethan Toms is unbelievable. Best puck skills in the draft, as far as I can tell. Like, just I mean, 200-foot center plays in his own zone well. Like, you don't see him get scored on very often. Like, I don't know. Like, I've seen them play a lot. He's rarely out there for a goal against. Really, really good player. He's on that top power play. He kind of works near the like top of the circle with Rogers and Danford. They kind of switch spots and they kind of, I don't know, rotate around on those top spots on the top power play. So they're deadly. And yeah, like the rest of this forward group. I mean, Jared Langdon was one really, really good player that actually had to leave the team early in the year, but when he was there, he was unbelievable. I'm not sure where he's playing right now, but he's definitely a name to watch on draft day. Nolan Donnelly is another really, really strong player, strong skater, big long stride, and puts up a lot of points. Becky Ewert is having a big year. He's putting up a lot of points. And Brody Partridge is another one. Like, just you could go down this list of all these forwards. It's a really, really deep team. You could probably say every name on the roster. But like, you look up and down the Quinty lineup, like there's not going to be too many guys not drafted from the squad, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll just toss a few more names through who I kind of noticed at the Silver Stick and at other events that I was able to get out to watch Quinny. I mean, Liam Phillip, Thomas Kuiper, Ben Brugden Hill, a couple other players. And I mean, it really just highlights their depth, just the ability to throw out line after line. And the one thing with Quinny that's unique, I think, about them is they're not necessarily this. I mean, we saw with the 04 kind of Quinny group, you had Owen Beck and Down Wakely, where they were just like, they were offensively power, like they competed. They were the one team that was consistently competing with like the Honey Bakes and the CompuWares, and they were able to put up a fight against those teams. And they really put out the offensive numbers. But what's unique with this Quinny team, I find, is their ability, that defensive stature. I mean, you're not going to see them consistently, for me at least, you're not going to see them toss out those 5-0, 6-0 type victories. Where when you're playing against Quinny, you better be in for a 1-0, maybe a 2-1 type game. And they're happy playing that game, and they can play it really well. And we saw it in the Silver Stick a lot, where they went to that long overtime game. The quarterfinals were all tight with them. And they've set themselves up so far to have a great second half and set themselves up for a strong run in the ETA playoffs, and then progressively looking to make the OMHAs, I think, as well, Ryan.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, like like we've mentioned, the defensive game is so strong, and it's not just the D and the goalies. The forwards are contributing to that as well. There's buy-in from the whole team, and I think that they're like, because of that, I think that they're going to be a legitimate OHL Cup contender to win it all. Probably going to be out of the OMHA the team that's going to be able to challenge those G teams, those top G teams like the Sens and JRC and the Marlies, and give them a go at the OHL Cup when we get there down the road.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. So Quinny's really separated himself, and obviously they're looking at a big second half. So we'll move down here in the ETA, and right now the second position is held by the Richmond Hill Coyotes, who've had a strong year so far. They've had strong tournaments. Weiss got to see them early on in the Markham tournament, and then progressively in the year they've just continually gotten better and better, and they've had strong performances. They got a couple guys up on the scoring race, having good solid seasons, putting the puck in the net. I mean, I mean, I remember watching them in the Silver Stick, and goaltender Stephen Amaro had a phenomenal game for them, and having two strong goaltenders is huge, as we know throughout the season, as we talked about just recently here a few minutes ago about Quinny there. I mean, they've got a couple strong goaltenders, and Richmond Hill's been in some battles this year and had some tremendous performances with their goaltenders. I mean, Amaro had a tremendous one, made some big saves in a game in the Silver Stick. And then you move to the defense. I think the biggest key defenseman there, who I've noticed, and I think a lot of scouts have noticed, is David Bitkowski, who's had a tremendous year. He's just a big, strong defenseman, a really reliable defenseman. He's got the size, he's got the strength that a lot of teams look for, and he can move well as well. Gosh, that's a tongue twister, move well as well. But he's also getting kind of quarterback offensively and really look to move the puck up ice efficiently, I think, as well, Ryan.
Yeah, Richmond Hill, like they're a really good team. Like we're mentioning them second here, but when you look at the win percentage, they're actually fifth in win percentage. So just to keep that in context, they played 25 games, which is the most in the league, but really good team. I mean, 600 win percentage, 14-9-2 in second place for points in the league. And yeah, you mentioned a lot, like Bitkowski is a good defenseman. I really like Danny Tamakos, just a small, shifty center, like 18 goals in 23 games, really good player. He every game I see him, he lays like at least 2 or 3 like big hits. Like even though he's smaller in stature, he throws huge hits. So yeah, they're a good team. Like Julian Rotundo is really fast, and Nate Bretnell's putting up a lot of points as well.
Yeah, and also a defenseman who just popped in my head as well, Braden Childerhouse.
All right,
Apologies if I'm pronouncing
solid.
it correctly, but he's had a phenomenal year as well for that team, and they're set to have a big second half and looking to go on a roll here. We'll definitely be looking forward to watching them in the second half here. Like you mentioned, it's as you mentioned a second ago, they got the 30 points this year, and the ETA is really tight. After Quinny
Yeah,
at the top there, Richmond Hill, Markham, Ajax, all the way down to I'd even go as far down as to North Central there. It's really tight all the way down the standings there, and we'll jump into the next team who's after Richmond Hill here. I think in the Markham Waxers, and we did have a player on from the Markham Waxers who we'll jump into a bit later, Frankie Marrelli, but we'll start at the forward group for the Markham Waxers here. And for me, one of the biggest standouts has got to be Nate Aspinall there, Ryan.
yeah, definitely. He's tall. I think he's 6'2" or 6'3". Really, really like excellent with the puck. He holds the puck a lot and holds possession a lot. Great playmaker. Really, really smart with it. And he's driving their offense. Like he's kind of that guy. He's always got the puck. He's always making plays. Passes are always perfect. And then when he doesn't have the puck, he skates into space perfectly and always kind of gets open for his guys. Like always available for that outlet, right?
Oh, absolutely, and you hit the nail on the head with him with the way he's been able to produce and play this season. And then the other forward that's really looked good this year as well, I think, is Jack Good, a phenomenal skilled centerman, shifty, elusive. He can move well, quick. He's got some quickness to his game, and he's got tremendous finishing ability with those silky mitts he's got. He's been phenomenal for the Waxers this year, and also adding Dominic Battaglia, who looked good this year. Dylan Kelly as well, and I'll also mention. We've talked about a lot of 07s this year, Ryan, and Markham Waxers are a team who got their own 07 as well. In Owen Griffin, who I saw in their Silver Stick game against Kitchener there. I was thinking, this player looks small, but gosh, he's looking phenomenal. He's got these quick hands. He's quick on his feet. He's moving. He's shifty. Not getting knocked over too much. And then you find out he's an 07 there, and he's standing out. And he's doing. It's kind of a consistent thing we find with all these 07 players who've been playing up. They're just consistently standout players who are making impact. And this is another one, Owen Griffin in 07 for the Waxers, who people are definitely going to want to keep an eye on next season for the 2023 OHL draft, which is phenomenal. But you also got Adam Solomon at forward there as well. They've got a tremendous. They've had some close battles with their fellow Markham counterpart in the GTHL though, the majors there, and they've had some tight battles with them. The Waxers are definitely going to be a team I think are going to be favorites to kind of progress and make the OMHAs. There's going to be tight battles in the OMHA. There's not a big gap from team to team in the OMHA, with effort and the hard work these teams play with and the talent on these rosters. It's just going to be phenomenal to see the Waxers. I mean, Richmond Hill, and we'll get into the other teams in a second, but the Waxers are definitely going to be a team to look out for, I think, Ryan.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, even in net, Nate Gillis is having a good year. He's been strong. Lots of really good highlight reel saves and low goals against average. He's been excellent every time I've seen them. And like you mentioned, Jack Good, he can finish. It's unbelievable. Like his finishing rate seems like when he gets in alone with the goalie, it's going in the net. So really good, quick player. And yeah, like we mentioned, Frankie Marrelli, we have the interview with him later. When you think about guys that might rival Reed G for that top hitter in U16 AAA hockey, I'm sure Frankie Marrelli has something to say about that. He's been laying guys out, but we'll talk more about him later. Just this Markham team is deep overall, and all the players you mentioned are great as well.
Absolutely. So we'll get into the next team in the ETA here. Moving down. Funny enough, we talked about them earlier in that tremendous quarterfinal at the Silver Stick, the Ajax Pickering Raiders, Ryan, and they as well. They started off kind of slow, but as the year went on, they found their groove and they've really been progressing. And we got the chance to talk to Sean Doherty from the Ajax Pickering Raiders, who scored that OT winner for them in that quarterfinal. And if the offense really starts, we can start the offense with him, I think, as well, with the way he's been able to put up numbers. I mean, we talked about him in our interview with him at the Silver Stick episode, so definitely go check that one out if you haven't checked that episode out, and check out Sean in that episode. But he's definitely a play driver for them with the way he plays, the speed that he plays with, the power, his physicality he can play with as well. At number 74, Ethan McDonald is another player I really like with the way he's able to open up ice and his skating and his how fluid he is. Interesting enough, they also have Ajax also has an 07 as we continue on this theme. Ryan Koskis, who's really been impactful for them this year. It's definitely going to be a player to keep an eye on for next year, as he's had a really strong season for Ajax this year, Ryan.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like a lot of 07s they're having big years playing up this year. It's great to see. But yeah, this Ajax team's fun to watch. I mean, you mentioned Doherty, got that big goal at the Silver Stick. He's been a driving force, and he's really fast, really good skater. Excellent game-breaking speed. Ethan McDonald is an interesting one. Like he's very sure of himself with his stick, and especially when he gets chances, he buries them. And I don't think I've been to a game where he hasn't scored. I've been to probably like 5 or 6 Ajax games this year, and every single game he gets at least one. So he's really sure of himself and scores a lot of goals. Joey Kringarov, he's an interesting one. He's one I liked in the summer a little bit. And I'd keep an eye out for him. He's got some skill, and he makes plays that'll dazzle every once in a while. And the biggest one for me is probably on this team is probably Van Williamson. If you're looking at overall like potential down the road and at the next level at the OHL, I really like Van Williamson and what he brings to the table with his speed, because like the OHL game is so fast, and I think he's going to be able to keep up no problem even next year if he's able to make a team. And I think with his skating, he's set up well, and he's very sure with the puck. Like he doesn't make mistakes with the puck. And so Van Williamson's a good one. Lucas Durham's one that's interesting as well. Just tall power forward that he's not quite getting the stats I expected him to get this year, but like we mentioned, like stats are really unreliable, right? So.
Yeah, and to your point, their stats are definitely not everything when it comes to minor hockey as well. We just want to hammer that point home that there's definitely more to stats, and we like to watch the games as well, which is phenomenal. I mean, you talk about Van Williamson there. He's Van Williamson as well there. I mean, he's got a phenomenal shot, and the way he's able to control the game is just phenomenal as well. So he's definitely set up, like you mentioned, potential. The potential there is huge down the road for him. So he's definitely a defenseman that's been massive for Ajax this year, and it's definitely got a lot of potential this second half of the season as well. I'll also say another couple defensemen that I've also liked is Nicholas Pulowski. and Ronan Campbell have also had pretty good, really solid years this year for Ajax. Really kind of being reliable defensemen and kind of leading the way from the back end there for them. And they've also had some great performances in net. I mean, Easton Rye was in net for that phenomenal Silver Stick game, and he's kind of had a consistently strong year for them in the net there, which has provided a calming presence for them in the crease there. But Ajax, a team, we saw it in the Silver Stick. I mean, they beat the Marvels 1-0 in the round robin, and they beat Top Quinny in that quarterfinal game. So it's really,
Yeah.
I think Ajax is going to be a team who's going to make some noise the second half and in the ETA playoffs, and we could very well could see them in the MHAs and very well could see them in the OHL Cup.
Yeah, and Easton Rye, I mean, he really made a name for himself at the Silver Stick in those 8 overtimes or whatever it was against Quinty. Like, he's had a really, really good year. And player that I noticed in the summer, their team was called the Durham something. I can't remember, what the Durham Hawks or something like that. For the Carnivale League, I noticed him there, and he's carried it over to his play with Ajax. He's a strong goaltender, and really tough to score on. Like, he's really good, covers the bottom of the net really well. And yeah, jumping into the let's just mention Marcus Mori quick. He's had a strong year as well. Just another forward that's having a good year. So yeah, jumping into the next team, who do we got here? The York Simcoe Express. And they're a pretty good team this year. Starts pretty much at center with Danny Vasic. The top line there is Danny Vasic and Cole Davis. Vasic is kind of that skill guy, really kind of drives play with his skating and puck possession. And then Davis, like, he'll get in there, throw big hits, kind of muck it up a bit, and win a lot of puck battles and do that sort of stuff. And both those guys are really highly skilled. I'd say they're the top 2 guys in the team.
No, it starts with them, but I also a player I really liked from York Simcoe there was Jared McNeil for York Simcoe there. Just a strong kind of his build, his way he skates, powerful skater, moves well. He's got that strength aspect to him where he's a strong player. He's not afraid to lay the body and be physical and just not separate man from puck out on the ice there. So he's a player that has a strong year so far and really stood out to me when I got to see them. And then Adam Matar is also, he had a strong start to the year and he's really progressed well. He's another reliable forward for them that they've liked this year as well. But the York Simcoe's a team. I mean, they came close to tying Quinny this year. They've had a lot of tight games and they've definitely had a successful season so far. And there's a lot to look forward to from this roster, I think, Ryan.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned McNeil, like, he wears the C. I think when they wear the white jerseys, he wears a C. They switch it up. So when they wear their blacks, there's a different captain. I believe it's Davis. And then McNeil wears the C when they wear the whites, or it's either way, vice versa, whichever way it goes. So yeah, that's a good catch. Like, he's a good player. He's a center. He drives play. Really, really good skater, kind of that complete 200-foot center. And yeah, just to mention all those guys, like, really good team. Like, even like Nicholas Ferrand, like, he's really fast. He kind of plays the game the right way. A lot of block shots, a lot of effort. But this whole team is pretty solid. And I mean, it's typical YSE, right? Like, every year we're all excited to see who's in those YSE jerseys. It's a great program.
No, absolutely. And you also always see, I mean, you always see these York Simcoe guys kind of moving their way up, whether it be OHL, you see them with the St. Andrews College School as well.
Yeah.
And it's no different. I think I saw a video where Jared McNeil is in some SAP gear, practicing, putting in the work during this break here. And he's Jared McNeil's a player to look forward to, but this York Simcoe team, like you mentioned there, anything can happen with these York Simcoe teams, and they're definitely a team that's looking to make some noise as the second half comes to a close here, and as we get into the ETA playoffs and obviously the OMHAs and OHL Cup, hopefully for them as well. But the next team is right behind York Simcoe right now. York Simcoe 25 points. Next team 24 points. Clarington Toros, really tight. And for me, my favorite player on the Toros, and I remember watching him in the summer league games, and then progressively the season. Jacob Tarian. I mean, you got to talk to him for the first episode of the year after his phenomenal performances in the Wendy Duffton tournament. I mean, just a phenomenal player. I mean, if you want a phenomenal forward, a great right winger who's just strong on his feet, he's smaller in height, but he's strong. He talked to you about how he just loves to get in there. He'll rustle up down there in the corners as well. I mean, the speed he plays with, the power he plays with, the skill he has, just the overall player. There's just what the better question is, what's not to love about Jacob Therrien from the Clarion Toros there, right?
Oh, I love watching Therrien play. Like, I don't know, when I find myself at arenas for tournaments and whatnot, like if I see Clarington out there, I'm like, even if I'm supposed to watch another game, I'll duck in there and watch like 5 or 10 minutes just to catch a couple of Therrien shifts because he's fun to watch. Like he's a spark plug. Um, he's just so fast. Like he always has the puck. The puck's like a magnet to him, and I mean, every shift he has, he's probably got the puck like half the shift. Like he literally dictates play when he's out there. Really, really good player. And like the other forwards on the team that I like, Nolan Laird, really fast, good player. Blake Wright's another one, like really, really strong player, really sure of himself with his stick and great skater. And Charlie Hilton as well, just big power forward. They've got a nice mix of forwards up front. They're a really, really strong team overall.
Yeah, they've got a nice blend of size, skill, speed,
Yeah.
physicality as well. I mean, Connor DeAngelo's another player who stood out to me in a couple games I watched him at the Silver Stick. Really great player, two-way game.
Yeah.
They've got this blend of the players. They've got some smaller players in terms of height, maybe in just stature as well, but they don't play afraid. They don't play small at all, and it stands out. And when you watch Clarington play and the way they're able to kind of take it to other teams and really drive the play for them, and just kind of produce offense for them. And then their defense is not nothing to gloss over either. I mean, Joshua Brady's a phenomenal defenseman, I think, as well, Ryan.
Yeah, he's got 10 goals this year, right? Big shot from the point, good skating D, elite puck mover for sure.
No, absolutely. And their defense, I mean, on a team like this with the offense that they have with players like Therrien, Hilton, Laird, right, DeAngelo, the players we mentioned, the defense is so important. Just this whole the defensive core they have. I mean, Sanastano, Parker Stanway, just to name couple more. I mean, the ability for a defense to move the puck up ice and just get that puck up ice to your forwards is massive. So they can do their thing with the puck and produce offensively. So just a massive credit to that defense core with the work they're able to do and move the puck ice efficiently, be effective with it and be reliable as well. And then I think as well a goaltender who's kind of looked really good this year is Jarvis Ford as well for that Clarence team. He's had some really great performances in the crease there for them, and he's definitely going to be a goalie to keep an eye on the second half of the season for Clarington. And Clarington's a team. I mean, it's a consistent theme with these ETA teams who are kind of, as we look in the middle, who are all tightly grouped here together. It's really anyone's game. It's. I mean, you talk about Quinney at the top there, who a lot of people would view as a lock, but then you got every team. They can honestly every team here who we're talking about up until Clarington so far, and then the next team we're going to talk about have come close to being Quinney. They've either tied or come close, or it's been tight games. And really, it's the ETA playoffs have got to be one of the most fun playoffs to watch come the playoff time, because they're going to be. There's no sweep. I can't see many sweeps happening amongst those groups there, and it'll be fun to watch, especially with Clarington and the firepower they have, Ryan.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you mentioned, yeah, it's just so tight, right? Like in these standings, and going on in the next team, I mean, another really, really good team. And I mean, I don't even know how many teams we've mentioned now. I think we're on team number 8 or no, team number 7. And I mean, there's even another good team after this, like a lot of good teams in this league, in this ETA loop. And with the North Central Predators up next, and their top player, Ethan Procyszyn, really, really good player, like top scorer in the league. And he's big and mean. Like no one likes playing against him. Like he's like he'll lay a hurting on you. Like, I mean, just really, really tough, really, really tough player, and makes it really hard. Makes it no picnic out there for his opponents.
Yeah, and I mean, he's actually one of the players we're going to be having on the podcast in a short time here for an interview. So we'll definitely get into him more in a bit. But that point, we'll hammer that point some more later on. And that point you made about him just being so tough to play against, and it's just not fun playing against. Is massive, and really carries over for the rest of their roster there. As they look at couple players who really I've liked, Isaac Lowerman, Evan Gilbert were a couple players who stood out to me at the forward position. But as well at defense, for me, they've got one of the top D in the draft, possible D. I mean, the D is a lot of D. Teams are going to have a fun time looking at the defensemen this year with the way these D have been playing and the way they skate and their instincts. But Nathan Schaap as well, he's got to be a D who's on a lot of teams' radars and on the top of a lot of teams' lists for defensemen who they're looking to select. He's had a great year. He's got the size. He's got the skating ability to go with it. He plays physical. I watched him lay some big hits, really use his body effectively. But he's also got some offensive instincts as well as being defensively reliable that allow him to jump up on the play and contribute on the offensive end as well.
Yeah, no, Schaap is having a big year. He's a really, really good player. Top defenseman. I mean, like he's a puck rusher, gets involved in the offense, great puck mover, great skater overall. Just unbelievable defenseman, really, really strong. And this is a good team. Like, I mean, you look at Isaac Larmond, another really, really strong forward. I mean, it doesn't show so much on the stats, but the player that's caught my eye, Brody Coe, big, strong player. Another good one. Like this North Central team, like they're pretty deep, right? Like a lot of good players on this team for sure.
Well, and you look at the way they play. I mean, they were the team that handed Quinny their first sort of their first tie.
Yeah, yeah.
In the ETA season earlier in the year, and it was tight games. And as folks are going to find out as we play this Ethan Procyszyn interview soon, he told us they were actually leading that game for the longest time, up 4-1, and you talked about it sort of slipped out of their hands there. It was a tight game, and they've got some unfinished business as the season progresses, and they're definitely a team who I don't think we're going to be used. I don't think the word upset's going to be a word we can use with this ETA playoffs and the teams who are going to be playing each other much this year, because there's not really an underdog necessarily in this ETA league necessarily amongst this group of teams who are so tight so far. But North Central's a team we're really looking forward to seeing. Procyszyn's been on a tear. We'll get into him a bit more later on, but the whole team's been having a great year with the effort they play with, the high work ethic, the way they're able to play physically and really kind of wear teams down as well. So North Central's going to be a team everyone's going to want to keep an eye on. They're going to be a team to watch for the ETA playoffs there. But moving on from North Central, the next team in the standings here is the Greater Kingston Junior Gales. Now, we'll skip one of the goalies here right now, Jacob Brown. We had a phenomenal interview getting to talk to Jacob. He's had a tremendous season so far. He's a big goaltender, tremendous in the crease, been a big part for them. So we'll kind of jump into the rest of their team so far here. And one player who's in particular who I really like to notice is Nicholas Petrut, kind of a smaller forward, but really kind of quick, really kind of just similar to Terrian when we talk about kind of a smaller player, just not afraid to get in there and get after it, get in the dirty areas and get after it and get that puck and win those puck battles as well. And he also has got a tremendous amount of skill, and he really finds the ice, sees the ice well, and he's able to find his teammates as well, I think. And he's had a tremendous year so far.
Yeah, Petrut's been a standout. I mean, he's super quick. He's smaller, like so yeah, like I mean, he's got to be quick, right? Like with his size. So he's been like really, really effective out there, like able to kind of dart away from guys and be really effective in his shifts. And Thomas Elkins is another one, really, really good player as well.
Yeah, he's been having a phenomenal year. He was a big part of their win in the Silver Stick and a round robin game against the Markham Majors. He wears the C for them, I believe, as well. Just a phenomenal player with the way he's been able to play this year and the work ethic he has. I'd also put in there Connor Weedo as well, Riker Van Spriel, a couple forwards who've had strong seasons for them so far out there. And then Deacon Ellis as well has had a tremendous year at defense for them. But it's really this Kingston team has had a strong year, and they've been in a lot of games. And although they haven't probably seen as much of the results, they're still in the race. They're just behind North Central, and it's really anyone's game for that matter. And Kingston's definitely going to be looking with the goaltending they have in the crease there, and the way the goalies have played this year, and the way they're able to produce some big time games, just like the one they had in the Silver Stick. Really, Kingston's a team to look out for, and a team who's going to be looking to have a strong ETA into this season here and a strong ETA playoffs here. Ryan.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, to finish out the rest of the ETA, like we're kind of getting to the bottom of the standings here, but there's some players to mention on these teams. With Barry, I think you're looking at Liram Amidovsky. He's a solid center. I noticed him at the OMHA showcase. He was strong, driving force for them, creating a lot of offense and doing a lot of good things. Um, there's a defenseman, Maxime Duraculo. Um, I don't know like what it is about him. Every time I see them, like I really like what he brings to the table. Like really, really good skater. Um, I don't know. He's just solid, like just solid overall. Like every time I see him, I really like him. And keep your head up when Noah Prokopek is out there, number 17 for Barry. My goodness, does he ever lay the body? He is a beast. He's just smoking guys like left, right, and center. I think he gets like 2 or 3 hits a shift. It's unbelievable. One of my favorites. I love those throwbacks that just love to run guys and yeah, like he definitely doesn't miss a check. That's for sure. And then Oshawa. Nathan Marincola is probably the top dog on Oshawa. He's kind of the driving force by their offense and pretty good player that's putting up good numbers this year. And when you see them, like when I see them, that's the guy that kind of stands out. He's kind of the most dangerous out there and creating the most chances for that team. And the last team we got here, Central Ontario. I'm just gonna have to look here. What do we got? Just going down the list here. Central Ontario. Aiden Randall is the one that kind of stands out for me, number 77. He's had a pretty good season. Like when I saw them at the OMHA showcase, he was kind of the one that stood out for me as their best player. So I think we got 2 more teams here, Whitby and Peterborough. For them, not the strongest squads this year, but I mean, like every time you see them, they compete hard and got some good players up for the draft. And yeah, you never see that lack of compete from those teams, even though they're at the bottom of the standings, right, Connor?
No, absolutely. And it's great to see him. We've talked about it with other leagues. When you love to see that compete and that effort there. And they're definitely looking to improve on their season so far. So as we talked about, they definitely probably haven't had the seasons they've hoped for. So they're definitely looking to really improve and develop, which is massive. I mean, that's the biggest part of these seasons as well. As you look for the wins, I mean, you love this teams love the success, but it's ultimately about the development aspect and really improving as the season goes on. And these teams are definitely these couple teams. Maybe we'll look to be trying to make some upsets in the ETA playoffs as we reach that point. So it'll be fun.
Sure.
It'll be fun as we reach the playoffs for those teams there. But we'll definitely keep an eye on Whitby and Peterborough as the season, as we wrap up on the ETA season coming up here. So definitely that kind of wraps up the ETA standings, and kind of a little second half preview. Really tight in the ETA, like we've mentioned countless times here. Really looking forward to see how everything plays out, watching these teams some more as the season goes on, seeing the playoffs, see who ends up making those OMHAs, and ultimately see who cracks the OHL Cup. It's the most fun time of the year here as we progress into February, as we're now into February, and it's kind of there's with that shutdown, there's not many games left, so it's gonna be playoff time soon, and that's one of the most fun times of the year, I think, Ryan. So we're looking forward to getting those playoffs going, and I think we should jump into our interviews now, Ryan. We'll jump into the first player. We talked about him a bit earlier. North Central Predators forward Ethan Procyszyn. Phenomenal player. The unreal season he's had is tremendous. Going to talk to him. So without further ado, here's our interview with Ethan Procyszyn.
All right, we are now joined on the U16 pod by star forward from the North Central Predators, Ethan Procyszyn. Ethan, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not bad, man. We're pumped to have you on the podcast. You've had an unreal season so far, and I mean, the numbers you've been able to put up have been unreal, and your play so far has been unreal. And it just stems from your ability so far to really bear down and finish on your scoring chances. I mean, it's been a big contributor to the numbers you've been able to put up this season. Is there something you've worked on or developed to develop this finishing ability?
Yeah, I think in the summer, over the off season, I think I've just trained a lot on like shooting and like all that stuff, skating and like ability to like get those open shots and stuff like that.
Nice. I mean, the work you've put in is definitely shown with the numbers you've put up and the dominance you've shown this year. And contributing to that dominance is the speed, the strength, and power you play with out on the ice, and it makes you so formidable and tough to play against. How
Mhm.
important is it to you to be able to use kind of those attributes, your speed and strength and power, to be a player that's difficult and tough to play against out there?
I think it's good because like how I'm like putting up points, like that's good, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. I think the speed, the strength, for me, it creates almost an intimidating presence where you're on the ice, and people have to be aware that you're on the ice. Is that something that
Yeah.
you've kind of implemented, that intimidation factor in there? That's been big for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. It's definitely shown with teams. I think every team, I think Ryan would agree, they got to be aware when 91 steps on the ice there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like every time you step on the ice, you're a dangerous player, and you garner a lot of attention, like from the opposition, right? Like you usually have to get defended by the best the opposition has to offer. They basically are doing everything they can to try to stop you or contain you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Um, so can you talk to us about the challenge of facing those best players on the other teams?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of challenging because some teams usually put their best line on me, best players like that. So there's a lot of challenge and stuff like that, but you just have to face it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, yeah, just kind of like, yeah, it is what it is, right? Like you just got to
Mhm.
face it and just play your game. And I mean, you also wear the C for your team. So being the captain,
Mhm.
like in such a big year, the draft year, um, like, how has that been being the captain, and like, how do you like to lead out there?
Oh yeah, it's been good. I think like leadership. I always like leading, helping the team, motivating them, trying to get them better and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like, you think you more like lead, like to lead, like by example, or do you like to kind of be a vocal leader in the bench, in the room, and like let guys know, like, um,
You're
I
a
mean,
raw, raw type of guy.
yeah, like what type of leadership style do you think you
Probably
excel?
both, but I'd say example more a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, lead by example, get out there on the
Mhm.
ice, do the right
Yeah.
things, and then hopefully they follow, right? And
Mhm.
oh, that's great.
No, it's a great attribute to have, having that, being able to kind of be that vocal presence, but also leading by example is massive, because ultimately the play, I think anyone would agree that your play on the ice speaks for itself with the way you're able to be so consistent and be such a strong player on the ice in that aspect. And as we talked about earlier with the speed, the strength, the power you play with, there's so many players in the show who kind of play with those similar attributes. Are there any players in the NHL you look to and model your game after?
I'd probably say Patrice Bergeron because he's a good 200-foot player that likes to play at to threaten the offensive zone. Takes pride in his face-offs. He's a leader on his team, and he's just a good defenseman too.
Nice. Is that 200-foot aspect something you've really emphasized as a centerman there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's a Selkie winner. Um, Having that 200-foot aspect is massive with the way
Mhm.
you're able to kind of protect your own end, but also contribute offensively is massive.
Yeah.
And then kind of getting away from hockey or getting to know you away from the rink a bit. If you weren't playing hockey, what would be your go-to sport?
Um, I used to play baseball when I was younger, so I'd probably say baseball.
Nice. What position do you think? What's your go-to position
I was
there?
a third baseman.
Oh, nice. You got a
Yeah.
strong arm there?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. At third base, you gotta have a strong arm and a quick
Yeah.
reaction there at third base. It's awesome. I remember playing when I was younger. We had one third baseman. He had a strong arm, but he could never hit. He could never hit the target. He always go sailing over the first baseman. So
Yeah. I've done
actually,
that a few times.
yeah, it's you get chirped about that a few times when you sail it over the first baseman's shoulder and all that. But do you have a favorite? Do
Oh
you have a favorite?
yeah.
Do you have a favorite baseball team?
Uh, Probably the Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's a good pick. They're definitely set up
Yeah.
for a good run.
Uh,
So that's a good one. And I know Ryan and I are definitely Jays fans too, eh?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I go to tons of Jays games, way too many. It's really expensive. Like, but I'm obsessed with it. It's so fun to go, and like it's just such a good way to spend a summer day watching the Jays. I mean, yeah, they've got an exciting team. Like they've had some good teams over the years, and right now they're they're kind of prepping for a run for some titles here. So hopefully they get one or two, right?
Yeah.
So switching gears completely to school. So at school, like what would be one of your favorite classes in school? And then what would be your least favorite class?
Favorite class, I'd have to go with math.
Oh, nice.
Least favorite, I'd probably go with science.
Nice.
Okay. That's just like me. Like I always like math because it's like
Yeah.
you get to the right answer and then like it's really, really objective, right? Like it's like whatever the answer is, it is. But I mean, science is it can be objective, but it's also it's a totally different way of thinking. So so yeah, no, that's cool. If you were stranded on an island and you could bring 3 things with you, what 3 things are you bringing?
Probably some food. Maybe a tent to sleep in, and probably some water.
Nice.
That's smart, man. Survival, like
Yeah.
basic stuff, right? Like food, you got the tent, you got the water. Like, I mean, yeah, like if you were on the Survivor, the TV show, you'd be set with those 3 things.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Hey, with that food though, that topic of food, well, you gotta go-to food that if you could pick one food to eat, you'd just eat
Chicken.
that food.
Chicken and rice for sure. That's my
Nice.
favorite. That's a pre-game meal too.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Chicken, grilled, crispy, fried. Was the
Crispy.
nice.
Nice.
That's a good pick there.
Awesome.
That's a good pick there, eh, Ryan?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I think we've taken up enough of your time, Ethan. So thanks so much for
Thank you.
jumping on the U16 pod. We really appreciate the time, and it was nice to meet you, get to know a little bit about you and your game. And yeah, just very, very best of luck with the rest of the season and the OHL draft.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
All right, no problem.
All right, and we're back from an interview with North Central Predators forward Ethan Procyszyn. I mean, we talked about it earlier with the size and strength that he has and the power that he plays with. He just brings an intimidating presence on the ice. I mean, every time he steps on the ice, if you're the opposition, you got to be watching out for number 91 on the ice with the impact he makes. And as defenseman, I mean, watching him play and the work ethic he has and the hustle he has to get in on the forecheck, first of all, I mean, the defensemen got to have their heads on a swivel and they got to be communicating because when he's out there, he's going to be on you right off the bat, looking to make something happen, looking to have you turn the puck over and then make a play with it. Because if you turn the puck over, you give him a chance to have the puck on his stick, he's not going to make a mistake, Ryan.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's really fast. He's got great speed, and he's relentless on the forecheck. Absolutely gets after it. Big hitter, like always plays the body, finishes his checks, and the stick work as well is vicious. Like he plays right on that line, you know, like where you can like a few hacks here or there, maybe in the arms or in the feet or whatever, and he lets you know he's there. Like he definitely does, and like I said, he plays in that line. He doesn't cross the line and take too many penalties, but like he's right on that, like playing right on the line, like really, really tough. And I mean, talking to various players around the league, like you talk to guys like in the GTHL, even like those guys hate playing against him. Like anyone that's played against him this year, they know the name, they know he's there, and he's causing havoc. Just a really, really physical kind of brute force out there.
No, absolutely. And we move on from the strength and power he plays with. He's got the finesse in his game too. And we talked about with him that finishing ability, that ability to bear down. And that's where kind of we've seen the numbers. I mean, I put out a tweet earlier this year where he was just putting up absolutely unreal numbers, and for good reason. Where he's seen that production come from his ability to, when he gets his chance, he will capitalize on that opportunity. Which is why, when I mentioned it earlier, you can't give him a chance. You can't open him up for that chance, because he's got the shot, he's got the scoring ability to finish on his chances. But then he's also setting up his teammates as well. His playmaking ability is something that I think can be slept on sometimes by some people. But he's definitely got that balance of scoring, playmaking, and that power game as well. But he also has that, as we talk about the offensive game, and then adds into it another layer of the defensive game. He's got that two-way game where he's able to kind of be effective on both sides of the puck as well, right?
Yeah. So I've seen him quite a bit for the Preds, but I saw him actually more in the summer, playing with the Prodigy Gray team. And the biggest thing I noticed about his offensive game is his ability to shoot in stride. So when he cuts middle, takes a couple quick strides and rips it, or if he's coming in full speed, he's able to get that shot off without, like telegraphing where it's going to go. Like his release basically goes hand in hand with his stride, so you don't know when the puck's going to go off. You don't get much warning if you're a goalie, for when he's going to release it. And right in stride, he just rips it, and he doesn't need much release on that shot trigger. Like, it's really, really quick, gets it off quick, and gets it off with good, really, really good velocity and accuracy. That shot is huge. It's an absolute weapon for him. Kind of that like wrister sort of snapshot where it's like all in one motion, just lets it go. Yeah, pretty much like a snapshot, but that flick of a wrist, it's really money for him.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just something that's added another element and made him such a dangerous player this year. And just we've talked about him at length and the numbers he's put up. And I mean, you watch him play, he puts himself in good spots defensively on the ice to really intercept pucks, be it centerman who helps that down low, provides the support, be it pass option on the breakout, strong in the back check. And he really he's a leader on his team as well. You talk about the intangible qualities we talked about with him in the interview. He's where to see for his team. He's a reliable person that coaches look to when they when they need something to happen on the ice, but also he can be kind of that person who leads by example and makes those big plays for his team, and kind of people will follow suit with him, and which is massive. I mean, we talked about it in the previous episode about those intangible qualities, and it's huge, and he's clearly got those intangible qualities, I think, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's a leader. Yeah, he's unbelievable. I mean, like, he leads by example, right? He plays a 200-foot game, doesn't take any shifts off. Basically, like, his defensive game is solid. Like he covers, he doesn't miss any assignments. And it's his skating, right? Like, really, really fast, like able to kind of always be in position, all that sort of stuff. So really, really good player. And I mean, he's going to be a beast. He's going to be tough to deal with for the rest of the season for other teams. So it was great to catch up with him and to have the interview, right?
Absolutely. And another player we got the chance to talk to here as we jump into our next interview here was defenseman Frankie Marrelli from the Markham Waxers. Phenomenal getting to talk to Frankie. He's got to be one of the top defensemen in the draft class. So without further ado, here's our interview with defenseman Frankie Marrelli from the Markham Waxers.
All right, we are now joined on the U16 pod by star defenseman with the Markham Waxers U16 AAA program, Frankie Marrelli. Frankie, how's it going?
Great. How are you guys?
Awesome. Excited to have you on the pod here. You're one of our favorite defensemen overall in this entire draft class. I mean, I think Ryan mentioned you to me when I saw you at Carnivale in the summer there, and he's like, you got to watch this one defenseman. I can't tell what gear he's wearing. I think it's Waxers gear. And I was like, okay, this kid's really good. The skating's unreal. And that's ultimately, I think, where both Ryan and I started with you, is just your skating ability is one of the best in the draft class.
Yeah.
Has your skating been something that's been natural to you, or has that been something you've progressively had to work on growing up?
No, I've had progressively to work on it in the summers, like going with figure skating coaches and skating coaches to work on it.
Nice. It's definitely watching the way you work on the ice and the way you're able to kind of in your D zone maneuver in open spaces. Do you really like to use that skating ability in the D zone and then just to advance offensively too there?
Yeah, I like to utilize that in my game. Creates time and space for me to make good plays to my teammates or get a scoring opportunity.
Nice. And I mean, along with your skating ability, it sets you up so well, like you mentioned there, with the offensive opportunities, but also you bring a physical presence as well on the ice. I watched you a bunch of times at the Silver Stick in a couple of games I watched where you just laid out some guys with some just painful hits, and your ability to shut down the opposition by, like I mentioned, laying the body. How important is that to you to bring that physical sort of presence on the ice there?
Yeah, I like to be gritty on the ice, make it hard to play against me, and laying the bodies. Of course, I always like to do that in the game. Gets the team going as well.
It's always fun to get the boys kind of riled up with a big hit there.
Yeah.
Nice. I know Ryan and I always, it gets Ryan and I excited there when we watch it, eh, Ryan?
Yeah, like, I mean, with your balance and like your ability to skate, just overall sturdiness. Like I remember one in the silver stick, you just absolutely leveled the guy at center ice, and it was just absolutely like unbelievable hit. Um, like like huge hits. Like it's just like it's unbelievable, and it definitely gets the bench fired up and gets them going. You love to get the bench going with that, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And also like, I mean, being one of the top defensemen, you often have to go up against the opposition's best forwards. So in those situations, can you talk to us about, I mean, your mindset as you face those challenges game in and game out?
Yeah, playing against top forwards coming against you, you just want to limit their time and space. Make sure you have a good gap and don't get caught looking at the puck or else they'll go right by you.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, don't get caught looking at the puck, play the body, and that's perfect. Like, I mean, when you get caught puck watching, like with the skill level at this age group, U16 AAA, like you'll end up getting beat, right? So
Yeah.
it's a good strategy to have. And I mean, you wear the C for your team. So what does it mean like to have that C and like it's such a big year, right? So being the captain during your draft year, like how would you describe the way you like to lead out there?
I mean, it's an honor to be the captain for the team. Come to the rink, like to get the positive mindset, get the energy going in the room, so then translate on the ice. And on the ice, just leading by example and making sure like tapping the guys on the bench, saying good shift, and just positive mindset overall.
Nice. No, that's great. Yeah, like you're definitely a leader out there. Like it shows in the way you play, and you're very vocal too. Like I can always see you kind of showing guys where to go on the face-offs and kind of yelling instructions to your D, to your forwards, like all kinds of stuff, right, Connor?
Yeah.
No, it's massive, and I think that's important is be having that positive mindset and providing that positive morale, which is awesome as a leader. And it's also huge to hear that communication aspect, which is incredible to have there. Is that something that's kind of been always? Is that something you've developed? Is that communication aspect as a leader? Is that something that's always been natural? You just love to talk to the boys.
No, I've always been a vocal guy on the ice, helping out the teammates or telling them where to go or something. Just always been vocal like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good.
That's awesome. It gets the energy up, and you always love those energy guys, and it's awesome to hear. And as we talked about earlier, your skating, your hitting, and all that. We look to the NHL, and there's those defensemen just like that who've got that skating, they've got that hitting. Are there any players in the NHL you model your game after?
I model my game after I'd say Drew Doughty. I like the way he's gritty on the ice and the passion he has for the game. He has unbelievable skating, and he creates good offensive chances.
I like that. I like that Doughty one. I love the Kings during their cup runs there.
Yeah.
And Doughty especially. His game's awesome, but I also love his chirp game.
Yeah.
With the way he's able to chirp on the ice. Anyone goes on YouTube. Can't repeat much of the words he says on here. We're a family-friendly podcast, but go check out our YouTube for anyone who hasn't seen his chirps. But he's definitely an entertaining player to watch. And
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's done plenty of highlight reel plays where he's rushed up the ice, but he's also made those giant, huge open ice hits. And it's a great segue into another thing where we've seen you rush up the ice with the puck. We've also seen you lay big hits. I mean, as a defenseman, if you had to pick between those two highlight reel plays, would you rather make that huge open ice hit to break up the rush and go back onto the offense, or get an end-to-end rush goal?
I'd say I'd rather the big hit and then get the puck and go make an offensive check.
Both.
Yeah. So
Nice. I like that. That's awesome there, eh, Ryan?
No, I love that. Like, I mean, we've seen you do both of those plays, and it's unbelievable. Like, that's awesome. Like, why not pick one when you can do both, right? That's great. And you've got both in your repertoire and your skill set. All right, so let's get away from hockey here. Switch gears a bit. Excuse me. When you aren't at the rink or playing hockey, what are some of your go-to things you like to do?
right now going to the outdoor rinks, the guys on the team. I'd say golfing in the summer really gets competitive.
Okay.
Fun game. And then my dad's starting a dog business, so like training the dogs and working with them is also something I'd like to do.
Nice. Interesting. So how's your golf game? Like, Like, what do you normally shoot on 18 holes?
Not the best golfer. Haven't been golfing for a while. Usually like playing like 2v2, so then I have like a better guy in my team to help me out.
Oh, okay, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You play with any of the wax? You guys play with the Waxers boys much in the summer? Or?
Yeah, I usually play with Nathan Aspinall, Owen Griffin, and Don Battaglia.
Who's
Nice.
who's the best of the group and who's the worst?
Um, the worst probably I gotta go myself. I'm not the best. For the best, I'd go probably Nate or Owen. Those two guys are good.
I
Yeah,
respect
no.
that.
It doesn't surprise me that Nate would be good because he's got great hands. Like he's
Yeah.
a good stick handler, good playmaker on the ice. So to have that touch and feel on the golf course, it would make sense to me for sure.
Hey, I respect the ability to say you're the worst too, because I'm in the same boat where golfing is just one wrong move and I'm in the sand, I'm in the bunker,
Yeah,
sticking
exactly.
the ball in the water there. So
Yeah.
I respect that ability there. So massive
Well,
props.
well, golf is a tough sport. Like it's not something you can just pick up. Like it also mostly has to do with time. Like the more time you have playing, like the more you played, like the better you'll get, right? So just stick with it and like with your athleticism, your hand-eye coordination, all that stuff, you'll be fine. So the more you play, like you'll be shooting low in no time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just another kind of fun one here. If you could travel anywhere in the world, maybe not right now due to COVID, but in normal times, what would be your go-to destination?
I'd travel to Italy. We were supposed to go this year, but COVID didn't allow that to happen. So I'd definitely go to Italy to just see how it is there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great spot. Like, I mean, my sister went and I mean, I remember looking at all the pictures and stuff and like everything's like a bazillion years old, right? Like it's way different than here. It's like a lot more history, a lot more, yeah, that would be such a cool place to go. So anyways, Frankie, thank you so much for jumping on the pod. And it was a pleasure to meet you. I get to know you a bit and learn more about your game. And yeah, just like very best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Like you're gonna have a great end of the season. So we look forward to seeing you play more. And so very best of luck in the games and best of luck at the OHL draft.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me out.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, and we're back from our interview with defenseman Frankie Marrelli from the Markham Waxers U16 AAA program. Just tremendous getting to talk to Frankie. I mean, for me, as you watch him play, the one thing I noticed right off the bat with him, it's just his mobility and his skating ability. It was just his edge work, his calmness, his poise, his patience on the ice. Combining the two together, it's just phenomenal. And he really, from his own zone out, that's where his skating really shines. Where his ability he sees something that stops up, uses it to just create space, and then just advances into that space and uses his skating to really drive the play up the ice and really be a progressive defenseman and really move up the ice with the puck and then make plays with the puck, make those strong first passes as well. But that skating is phenomenal, Ryan. He's got to be one of the best skaters in this draft class, especially with those edges.
Oh, he's an unbelievable skater. Like his work rate is unbelievable. The amount of ice he covers in a shift, almost that 200-foot defenseman that's able to get up and down the ice, no problem. Like you said, jumps into the play, rushes the puck, wicked gap control, gets back in a hurry, doesn't ever get out of position. Like if he's out of position, he's able to get back there really quickly with his great skating and speed. And like you mentioned, his edges, like unbelievable edges, great skater and great changes of direction and ability to anticipate the play. Like the number of passes he breaks up in the neutral zone and open ice hits in the neutral zone and all, like just unbelievable in terms of his skating, his ability to get to the spots that he needs to be to make plays and like just pushing the pace, like pushing the puck up ice. He's that elite puck moving defenseman that, I mean, every OHL team is going to be dying to draft him on draft day. Like he there's a spot for him on every team next year. Like he's definitely at the higher end of the defenseman in this draft. We were talking about it a little bit before we went on camera of who are the top D in the draft overall, and he's on that short list, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think about the first round, he's got you gotta have him. For me, you gotta have him in that
Yeah.
first round.
Oh yeah.
And for me at least, he's in that top 10 combo right there, where you can be sure if you're looking for a defenseman there, 65 for Markham Waxes has got to be the number and name you're looking for them there. And we look at his skating. You talk about his physicality too. He lays the body, but as it moves up the ice, you move from the D zone, neutral zone. His offensive quarterbacking ability. He's put up the offensive numbers as well to contribute offensively. So he's got that finishing aspect where you can trust him in the D zone, but you can also put him out there to really quarterback and be an offensive weapon as well, which is really impressive in that aspect as well. Um, but just being a quarterback is massive, where he's able to, I mean, use his skating. It all revolves around the skating for him, where he's just able to maneuver across the blue line, really open up passing lanes, shooting lanes, find ways to get pucks through, or find passing lanes and get pucks to his teammates as well. And with the playmakers and the finishers he's got on his team, with Aspinall and Jack Good, as well as like that 07 Owen Griffin as well. And that's massive to be able to find those lanes and just set those guys up and make those big time plays. And he's got that ability, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. Like unbelievable at distributing the puck, and on the power play, he's deadly. Like able to kind of make those smart passes, right? And he's always moving. He's able to like kind of keep moving, and just I don't know, just facilitate plays, like create space. The amount of space he's able to create for his teammates is unbelievable. And his shot from the point is really strong as well. Like he's got a really, really nice wrister, big slap shot, wicked one-timer. So the hand-eye coordination is there. Like he's able to just hammer those slap shots. The 1T is huge, and it's really hard to get the puck out. Like when he's on the blue line, like he keeps the puck in so well, like just batting the puck out of the air with his hand-eye coordination, being able to skate to the spot, kind of jam against the boards and keep the puck in, like just unbelievable overall at just always being on the puck, always making good plays with the puck, really good puck skills, really sure of himself. And like we mentioned in the analysis of the teams, really, really good hitter. Like his timing and the strength he has on his body checks is really, really solid. There was one that I remember from the Silver Stick. He just blew a guy up at center ice, and just huge hits. Like I mentioned, like we put out that post on Instagram. We said Reed G is probably one of the top hitters in U16 hockey. Like Frankie Marrelli, I mean, he's right there with him, right? Like that's why I said probably one of the best hitters, because Frankie Marrelli, I mean, like you could argue he's the best hitter in U16 AAA hockey. Just there's been so many hits that I've seen with him, just like absolutely blowing guys up, and we're not talking just like, I mean, finishing a check. Like we're talking like huge hits.
Oh, and well, and beyond that, beyond just the entertainment factor of watching a guy play a massive hit, it creates a fear factor on the ice where you got to be aware as an opposing forward that if you're coming down and 65 is playing defense and he's on that shift, well, you better be sure don't cross over onto his ice because he'll make you pay, whether it be with the body or just use his stick work and kind of just muscle you off the puck or maneuver you, angle you off, and then just turn the puck over right then and there. He's a defenseman that whenever the opposing forwards are on the ice with him, they got to know 65. And there's got to be a certain, I mean, you talk about it with, I mean, NHL defenseman, back in Zdeno Chara's prime days, you got Hedman now, McCarr, Quinn Hughes, Adam Fox. Those defensemen create a sense of, okay, I don't want to go in their corner. I don't want to go in their area of the ice. I want to stay away from them because they're probably going to make me turn the puck over. So let's stay away from there. I get that sort of sense with Frankie Marrelli as well. And again, it just goes beyond with him as well. The on ice traits, Ryan, as well, with the intangibles. We talked about Procyszyn. You got another captain right here, captain of the Markham Waxers with Frankie Marrelli. And he's a vocal guy too. He talked about he's got that energy in him. He's vocal. He loves to get the boys going, loves to talk to the boys. He's got an aspect where he does lead by example, but he also is a person who's going to talk. He's going to be that positive voice, lift the boys up. If something's not going well, hey, we'll lift the boys up, get the boys going, which is huge. Not everything's going to go well. You need that vocal, that positive energy, and he brings that all the time. And talking to him, you get those positive energy and those positive vibes from him too. And it's incredible to talk to him. It's incredible to see that on the ice as well, Ryan.
Yeah, and I love how you mentioned like players don't want to attack his side, because I remember at the Silver Stick, I wrote that down in my notebook when I was scouting the game, one of his games. I think it was against Kitchener, and so like I kept noticing. I think it happened 4 or 5 times where the guys, they actually literally were starting out on his side and skated all the way diagonal across to the other side to take on the other D. So that's a great point by you, because it made me remember that point, because I think it happened like at least 4 times, like maybe 5 times in the game, right?
No, absolutely. So it's just Frankie Marrelli's got to be one of the top players overall to keep an eye on, and it's going to be phenomenal to get out to some more what Marco Maxer's games and watch him. Get to hopefully we get to meet Frankie in person. It was phenomenal getting to talk to him on and off camera here for the pod here, and it was just so tremendous. Any team that drafts this player is going to be happy with the player they get on the ice, but also the person off. Just a great teammate, we can tell as well. So it's just can't thank Frankie enough for taking the time. But we'll get into the next interview we had, the final interview. Goaltender Jacob Brown from the Kingston Junior Gales there. So without further ado, here's our interview with goaltender Jacob Brown.
All right, I'm here with Jacob Brown, star goalie from the Kingston Junior Gales. Jacob, how's it going?
Not bad. Yourself?
Not bad, thanks. Not bad. It's great to have you on the pod. You've had a great standout season so far. Like mostly like right off, it starts off with your tremendous athleticism and your size. Like, how do you think that combination of things has helped you as a goalie to have such a successful OHL draft year so far?
I don't know. I feel like the OHL teams, they always look for size, and especially if you want to move forward professionally in hockey, it's always about the size, I find, especially in goalies. So I think luckily I've got height to get there, and the athleticism definitely helps for like getting across the crease and just making those big saves to get your team going as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, it's like you've got that size, but like not just because you have size, that's not the only thing that makes you a good goalie. Like, I've seen bigger goalies in this age group get lit up, but that's not the case for you. You've got the athleticism as well, which like makes you make big saves, and you're big in the net. You're really tough to score on. So it's been a great year for you so far, and you've been a lot of fun to watch. Like, for yourself though, if you had 3 words to describe your strengths as a goalie, what would you use and why?
One of them I think would be effective, because like, as I said before, like the cross crease, you always got to get the right route, the shortest route and the fastest route. And I find I do a good job at finding that route most of the time. Confident in the net, I'd say. Always go out, take away the shot, try not to play deep in my net. And I'd say smart, because the start of this year, I struggled with playing the puck, and then it's something that I've really focused on, like this year especially. And my coach has really like harped on me about getting out there, playing the puck like a third defenseman. So I've really tried to get out and do that. And I think lately it's helped up my game and my team's game out quite a bit.
Yeah, no, those are great words. Awesome stuff. Like, yeah, you're definitely very confident, and I've seen you play the puck. You play the puck really, really well. And I mean, even to add more stuff in there about your game, like, I think you're really like, I mean, your technique and just the way you're set up and all that stuff. Like you basically have a great kind of technique to your game, right? Like, you're very, very polished. You can tell you've had a lot of goalie training and all that stuff. And Connor and I have been really impressed with your game, right, Connor?
No, absolutely. And it's great. Ryan talks about it's the work you put in with your puck handling. It's really showed it.
Yeah.
And for any younger goalies out there, can you talk to us about kind of some of the stuff you've done to almost work on that puck handling?
I think you kind of just got to throw yourself out there, and if you make a mistake, it's going to happen, then you just learn from it.
Oh, I see. It's just kind of like just throw you into the fire type thing. Like you just gotta
Yeah.
kind of go for it, and as you go, it's just something that you gain confidence, just repetition type thing.
Oh yeah, and in practice, I'm always shooting pucks whenever I get the chance, or if like my team's down in one end practicing power play, and I get the trainer that's out on the ice just to fire pucks down into my end. That
Nice.
way, I can just get out there and just like repetitive, and it just gets in your head. So that way,
Yeah.
it's
Nice.
second nature.
That's such a great point. It's such a great thing for goalies to keep in mind. Is just that repetition aspect and working on it, practice, and find ways. It may not be like comfortable when you're not as confident at first with it, but just working on it in games and in practice is massive. I also got to ask, as I remember when I was growing up, as you put the goalie kind of mid on and the blocker. I know it's different from like shooting as like a player. How did you find at first shooting pucks as a goalie with the whole mitt? What was that process like going with?
It was weird from like player shooting, but a lot of goalies are like lefty with a goalie stick, but righty when they shoot with a player stick. So I was lucky enough to already be a lefty. So I kind of
Okay.
had that advantage over some goalies.
Nice. That's I've noticed that where some goalies have to make that transition, so it's neat to hear that you kind of had that efficient kind of or much easier transition there in some aspect. And then kind of another question we like to ask a lot of goalies is what inspired you or drew you to become a goaltender?
It was house league, and we didn't have any goalies, and it was just I think I was pretty young, and it was like the end tournament, and I got thrown in the net for the tournament, and then I got MVP, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this, and so I just stuck with it.
Hey,
Nice.
that's pretty good. If you're successful at it, you might as well keep going at it. So that's huge. That's pretty
Exactly.
cool. Hell. And then similar along the same lines here, goalies kind of we've talked about this before with other goaltenders, but some goalies have kind of this reputation for doing things differently than other players, whether it be like with their superstitions before the game or even during the game sometimes. Generally, they have these different mental or physical routines. Would you say you got any superstitions, or what does your pregame routine look like as a goalie there?
I'm not that superstitious, but I like to wake up, eat a big breakfast, and I don't really like to eat right before a game. So that's why I like getting up, eating a big breakfast, and maybe like a small snack before the game. But and then I usually tape my stick before each game, and just that's about it. I don't really have too much stuff like that.
Nice. Just nice and simple there. Are you black tape, white tape? What's the go-to tape there?
White tape.
There you go. That's a good fit there, eh, Ryan?
And a non-superstitious goalie. Like I remember growing up playing hockey, I was walking around eggshells with my goalies because they had so many superstitions. You didn't want to screw one up, and then they'd be all mad at you or whatever. That's amazing that you're like. I mean, it's okay to have superstitions. I'm not saying it's not, but no, that's yeah. It seems pretty simple, right? Like yeah, I love it. Like just it makes sense to me exactly what you're saying. Like it would be tough to eat right before a game, like as a player, let alone being a goalie and having to do a sprawl or something with feeling anything in your stomach, right? So that makes a lot of sense. All right, so switching gears here. So in the NHL right now, is there any goalies in the show that you model your game after?
Well, Carey Price isn't really in the show right now, but it was him. So
Nice.
I'd have to say him, but right now I can't really name any goalies. I feel like the NHL right now is pretty weird with goalies because there's a lot of goalies transitioning out. I mean,
Yeah.
all the young goalies are starting to get a chance now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you can say Carey Price. No, he's an unbelievable goalie. Like, yeah, just absolute legend. Like a lot of people have said him on the show. Like last year we got Carey Price a lot, and I mean he's not far removed from the game. So I always like to hear like I don't know. Even if you go back for legends and stuff, I would have been fine with that as well. So all right. So in the NHL right now, who is this maybe the scariest guy that you could think of to come in on you and take a shootout attempt?
A shootout attempt.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
let's say like who would be like anyone in the NHL, like who would be like
Who would be the
yeah,
toughest to face on like a
yeah,
breakaway or shootout attempt, do you
like
think?
yeah.
I'd say either Patrick Kane or Trevor Zegras.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
nice.
That's the first one. Zegras is nice.
Yeah, he's pretty nifty.
Oh, he just pulled the lacrosse move too.
I watched that live. I just turned the TV on. I watched the end of the first, and then he pulled that right after Montreal scored, and I was like, uh-oh, because Montreal's my favorite team, and they're not doing too good right now.
Oh gosh, that lacrosse. He's done it. He did the Milano lacrosse thing, and then he did that, and then he dangled Ottawa yesterday and didn't finish on that. But that dude is just unreal. Yeah, how do you
Mhm.
think? How do you think you'd play that lacrosse? What's the play on the lacrosse as a goalie? What do you think?
I don't know. I'd kind of just maybe throw one of my gloves up in the top corner because that tends to be where they place the puck. Or I think about that all the time. Actually, I'm like, if that were to ever be pulled on me, I have no idea what I would do. I'd try
Yeah,
to just get in the way of it.
Yeah, it's
yeah, you got to think of it, right, Connor? Like, because it's like it's happening so often now. Like, you got to at least think about that kind of thing. And I mean, you're probably not trained to look directly behind you. That's probably the hardest part, right? Because you normally like you can look to the side, but you normally can't look directly behind you, right,
your head
Jacob?
can only go
Yeah.
so your head can only go so
Yeah.
far back.
Exactly. You can't really turn around and look. So you kind of you can get a bit of a look, but
Yeah,
not the greatest look. But
Yeah,
yeah,
once it's happening, it's almost like a hope and a prayer that you can kind of like see it in time and get your head up, or otherwise.
yeah,
I think it was the goalie from Montreal. He's like, well, I'm not too happy. I'm going to be on on TSN or Sports Center for the next week or so, being on that highlight reel. So
yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
I think what's got to happen now maybe is like if your D sees it, they got to be like lacrosse or whatever, like then so you can just get your shoulder up. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I don't know what else you can do, right? Like there's got to be. It's getting to the point now where it's got to be defended against because, like I saw at the OHL, the Bulldogs, George Diaco pulled it off. Like it's happening more and more often, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
we saw Hag pull it off in the summer,
Yeah,
at draft day. So it's
all the time.
happening
Yeah.
everywhere. So that'll be fun. And so transitioning away from hockey now, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Breakfast bowls. One of the things I eat for breakfast, it's like hash browns, bacon, eggs, and you just throw it into a bowl with some hollandaise sauce.
Oh, that
That
sounds
sounds
good.
so good. Oh, that sounds so
good.
good.
That's one
Especially,
of my pre-games.
oh, that's got to be perfect. Just wake up, eat that, and then get going with the day. Oh,
Yeah.
that's making
Yeah.
me hungry just thinking about that. That's awesome. And then, if you could swap places with any celebrity or athlete for 24 hours, who would you want to swap places with?
I think athlete, probably Tom Brady.
Oh,
It'd be
that's.
pretty cool to be Tom Brady.
Did you see all the stuff that was going on with his retirement shift going on there? He's
Yeah,
retired, non-retired. Like, holy. What do
I
you
don't
think of
know
that?
what's happening there because it's like everybody's saying he's retired and then everybody else is saying he's not, but he hasn't said anything, which I feel like he should probably step up and say something.
Yeah. Well, I think he has a Twitter. I think he has a Twitter account. Like I've seen him post on Twitter or something. Like maybe just toss up a tweet or something. I'm not retired, or
Yeah.
let everyone know, because the whole shindig. You had two like NFL guys putting out, "Oh, Tom's retired." Then his dad went on some news thing. Was like, "No, no, Tom's not retired." It's like, holy, we're getting from the dad and we're getting from different people. And it's like, Tom, come on, can we like speak up here? So
Yeah, like honestly, I saw some stuff saying like it looks official or whatever, and yeah, like you're saying, like there's these mixed reports, but I mean, when it comes down to it, like I don't think he's retired. Like I don't know, man. I just in my gut, like I'm old, like I've been watching his whole career. Like don't have the feeling that he's done. Like I don't know. What do you guys think? Like if you had to guess right now, is he retired or not retired? What do you think, Connor?
I don't know. I can't see him. I can't see him retiring. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah,
I can't. I hope he's not.
Yeah.
because he's a lot of fun to watch, but I also can't really see it happening yet.
Yeah.
Either.
He's,
Yeah.
it's funny.
We'll see.
I think he's the. Do you think he's the GOAT? Because I think he's a GOAT too.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Easy.
Because
Easy.
there's people around around my program, because I'm in a sport management program. There's some people who seem to think that he's not the GOAT, and I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes there, buddy.
His
He's got to be
stats
the GOAT.
lie.
Sorry.
His stats don't lie.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Like you got 7 rings there, so it's
Yeah.
like pretty sure that just speaks for everything else there. So
Who,
he's got to be the GOAT.
who do those people say? They say Joe Montana or something?
Well, one person said Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my, come on.
I was like, toss that out of there. He just
No.
lost to the 49ers. Like, how can you?
No way.
I don't know how you can do that, but
No.
anyways, Jacob, thanks so much for coming on the pod, man. We really appreciate you taking the time. Just best of luck with the second half of the season getting going here in the ETA, and best of luck at the OHL draft.
Yeah, thank you. It was awesome to get on here.
And we're back from our interview with goaltender Jacob Brown from the Greater Kingston Junior Gales. Just phenomenal going to talk to Jacob. I mean, he's got the size and the stature you look for that a lot of teams and a lot of people look for in a goaltender. I mean, I think he's around 6'1" now in the net there, and he's a reliable goaltender. He's a phenomenal goaltender for them, and he's been a big part of the success that Kingston team has seen so far this season, Ryan.
Yeah, Jacob Brown is solid. Like I remember seeing him on Prodigy Gray in the summer, in the Carnivale League. Really, really good goalie. Like considering he's on Kingston, like they're kind of mid pack in the kind of lower mid pack in the league, and to have an under 2 goals against average, I think he's at 1.8. That's really solid. Like just stats wise, you look at, and then when you watch him play, he passes the eye test, right? Big, strong goalie, great technically, always in great position and explosive side to side, great movement, unbelievable kind of reactions and saves. And he gets his pad down quick. I noticed, like, I really like kind of when guys are coming in on him, he's tall, he takes up a lot of the net, but when they try to go low on him, like that pad goes down super quick. And they're not able to kind of get that low shot on him. Like he's got a good stick as well, uses the paddle well. I noticed when guys are behind the net trying to pass out front, he's got the paddle out, blocking those passes, and does a lot of little things like plays the puck well. Really solid goalie.
Oh, absolutely. And to your point there about getting the pad down, being quick with it, while also have that bounce of not just dropping as soon as you see something like the guy go to shoot. That's massive. And for a goalie, for those bigger goalies, that's big. You got to get down quick, and you got to be able to get up, get down quick. And that size, sometimes people may see that as a hindrance, but it hasn't been for him, which is massive. And he's got that confidence. He's got that calmness in the crease. I mean, he talked about it with us, which is massive as a goaltender, where he's not going to panic when stuff gets a bit shaky in front of him, or the chaos starts to ensue. As we all know, anything can happen in front of the crease there once a shot goes in and a rebound happens. He's calm, he's cool, and he doesn't panic, and he stays calm, and he uses that vision. He's got tremendous vision to see the puck, watch it and keep watching, watch where guys move, and then make the big save when he needs to, make that first, second, and third save as needed for his team, which is huge as a goaltender. And he's just a goaltender that I think Ryan instills a lot of confidence for his team, and instills a lot of confidence in his coaching staff too.
Yeah, definitely. Like he's a guy that he's always going to keep you in the game, and gives you a fighting chance against those top teams, right? Really good goalie. Like, I don't know, just overall, like you gotta like the composure. Great interview as well. So like he comes off, he speaks well. He's got kind of a lot of intangibles you like. Really kind of likable kid, and really good like in the crease. Like really athletic. Like, I mean, let's face it, like he's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he's smart, he's pretty much like the complete package for a goalie. And he's made Kingston competitive this year. Like it's not the strongest team in Kingston, and he's kept them in a lot of games that maybe they shouldn't have been in, right?
No, absolutely. And to your point about the athleticism, his blocker and his glove, he's got those reactionary ability and those quick reflexes, which are huge, and using that blocker to really deflect puck. And he's got the rebound control and the ability to kind of put the puck where he wants it when the shot comes, which is huge as a goaltender. And he's been tremendous this year. So definitely a goaltender that's going to make Kingston a team to watch out for. I mean, for me, when the playoffs come around and those kind of a shorter series, I'm gonna have to revisit the ETA playoff some more. But they do play in a series format. We saw what Carey Price did to the Leafs last year, to our dismay, last year. But we saw what he did throughout the playoffs and what a strong goaltender can do in those series. And Jacob Brown's a goaltender that I think, Ryan, we can put on upset watch, where he can steal games. He's a game stealer for you, and it'll be fun to watch Kingston and watch him in the crease there for them come later in the season and really make an impact there and see what they can do come playoff time in the second half of the season, and I think as well. So it was tremendous getting to talk to him. Tremendous getting to get to know him a bit and get to know him often on the ice there and get to know more about his game. So just massive thanks to him for coming on the pod. Massive thanks to Ethan Procyszyn, Frankie Marrelli for joining us on the ETF episode here. Tremendous getting to talk to those players. We really appreciate you guys taking the time. But as we wrap up here, definitely be sure to go follow us on our social media pages at the U16 Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow myself individually on Instagram and Twitter at cwilliams_384. You can follow Ryan on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan P. MacArthur. If you want to email us, send us a message. Please send any messages to the pod's email, the U16pod at gmail.com. It helps filter and it helps we get better notifications through there, and it filters it more effectively on there in that regard. And just as we wrap up here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and don't forget to hit that download and like button on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. So just thanks so much for listening to this episode of U16 Pod, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, take care, everybody.